Hello everyone, and Trisha, it's me, Jenny. It's time for another not naked video response to Trisha Hershberger series Naked Truth, where we talk as candidly as truthfully as possible about the steps of choosing to rid out the shower, no makeup, wear hair, first take, one take, etc, etc. Most people choose to do naked, but I choose not to, but either way, it's not a sexy time thing. It's a tool for the blogger tool, we've all rolling honest, and it's been a while. I'm a little bit out of practice. Welcome back to the reading chair in the corner of my room, which I adore. Yes, and also I'm filming on my web camera because I haven't charged my actual camera. Also, it's kind of a big subject this week, and I feel like I'm probably going to ramble, and so I thought it'd be best to film it on the web camera so it doesn't take forever to upload. So, hi. Hello. Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm sorry for the fan noise. I'm sorry if the audio is just terrible. I'm sorry if you guys can hear the bus currently driving past my wall. I don't know whether or not I'll pick up on the microphone, but hello. Okay. Whew, it's been a busy day. My brain is like, and today's subject is things you're scared of or your greatest fears. And there's like so many different like subsets of fear, like so many. And I was thinking about it in the shower just now, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ramble so much. Yeesh. But yeah, so there's kind of the anxiety feeling version of fear, which I think is for me it's very social, and I think anxiety is the flight or fight response, but for the modern era, where you're not, unless you're in a very specific type of place in the world or business, you're not actually fighting for your life every single day. You're not facing off with, a bear or a tiger or a wolf. So your brain's fight or flight response recalibrates for the modern world because it still has that kind of adrenaline burst. And in the modern world, you're not faced with life and death situations as much as historically. So that's a theory I've heard is the reason why anxiety exists is because it's historical biological fear translated into a modern world, which I think is a really interesting way of describing that thought process. When you get that sort of like for me, I get like my stomach tenses up. I get like really kind of like it feels like your brain's going a mile a minute, and that's meant to be a response to, like, again, fight or flight. It's that kind of, you either completely and utterly tense up and make yourself small and make yourself like unaggressive, or you flight, you become hyperactive and hyper responsive and everything's very and I've heard that's the kind of anxiety aspect of it. So that's, things like social fears, like the fear of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, or like what will people think if I did that wrong. And I get that a lot. That sort of like, oh, I'm not a good boss, I'm not a good colleague, and I'm not a good sister, and I'm not a good family member, and I should be doing this and I'm not, and I'm procrastinating, and spiral fear. So like that's like, as definitely a type of fear, like fear of failure is a big thing. And I think that falls under the subset of anxiety. But there's also like, I don't know, dread. I think dread is a very specific type of fear, and that's I mentioned it in Trisha's Discord last week because the day after she talked about fear, I had like one of the most full-on terrifying nightmares I've had in memory. And the dream itself wasn't that scary. It had ghosts in it, and I had ghost children, and they were like holding my hand. It was super creepy. It had like the story of the dream was about ghosts, but the acceptance that ghosts were real was part of the emotion of the dream. And I just woke up with this just deep feeling of dread, like ongoing crippling dread, to the point where I'm very rarely scared of the dark, and I'd call scared of the dark kind of an existential dread, existential fear, the fear of the unknown, the fear of the infinite of the universe and the things that you can't comprehend on a conscious level. But like the feeling of dread after this dream was so deep, it took me until the sun had risen, which I woke up at like 2 a.m. So it took me until like 6 a.m. for the fear to go away enough. And like, honestly, like I woke up desperately needing to go to the bathroom, and it took me turning on all the lights and like reaching into the corridor with my hand to turn on the light in order to get out. Like, I full on, like, I didn't want to know what was down the corridor type dread that stuck with me. It's been a long time, and again, not within memory, that I can remember having such a deep emotional response to a dream. Like, you have like sad dreams and happy dreams, or sexy dreams for that matter, but like having like dread dreams, it's been so long. It's been so long. So yeah, that was terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. So as I kind of mentioned, existential dread, the feeling of not knowing, and like I definitely get that when it's when I think about how small we are in relation to the universe. So then, like, you have like the kind of the anxiety dreads, the social dreads, the what if I fail at this? What if I never get a house? Will my parents be disappointed in me? Am I not a good friend? Like, what if I screw up at being a DM and people don't enjoy my game? Type fear. But then on top of that, you've got the like, we are a tiny ball of rock spinning through the universe at 1 billion miles an hour. Like, we've got a tiny sun, an insignificant sun, and we could pop out at any second. And like, we literally are living in a world which is half on fire and half in smoke and half like, you know, we've got COVID and we've got disease and we've got famine, we've got flipping evil wasps in the world. Like, how are we expected to function when we're just these tiny little insects crawling across the world, slowly eating it? Like, and like things like time and space logic as well comes under that one. Like, there was I talk about this quite a lot, that there was a children's book which I think must be in the attic somewhere, where on the front cover was a cat reading a book sat on a chair, and on the book, the first picture, like the front cover of the book, was a cat sitting on a chair reading a book, and on the cover of that book was a cat sat on a chair reading a book. And the feeling of infinite, like, falling into a time-space vortex has like deeply ingrained itself in my psyche as one of the most terrifying things ever. So yeah, that sort of existential like craziness has always got me. And then there's like disgust. And disgust is one of the things I don't often get, but occasionally I do, which I think is kind of on par with like more like phobic tendencies. There are kind of existential phobias. Like, again, I occasionally get scared of the dark when I'm really tired, or when I'm like, usually when I'm really tired, sometimes when I'm a little bit drunk and tired, I will get scared of the dark, and it will be that feeling of like, I swear I saw something just move, or like there's something on the other side of the door. Like, as soon as where the light ends, there's something there. So if anyone's watched, I think it's called, there's a horror short, and I'm blanking on the name. There's a horror short which is about like a girl who she's in her house and her sister died, and like there's one point where she's lying in bed and the pile of clothes at the other side of her room just moves slightly and something's crawling along her bed towards her. And oh my god, like that short, I think it's something like, I can't remember what it's called. It's a one-word title, and that one and Lights Out, the fact that they perfectly capture that feeling of like something moving in the dark. And like there was, I think there's an old, I think it might be an Edgar Allan Poe story about like a guy reading a scary story, but at the same time the noises from the story seem to be coming alive, but it's actually like someone's sister come back from the grave. Like, those sort of things that I read when I was a kid, I feel like they come back to me, the creeping feeling of not knowing what's on the other side of the door, and it's very hard to quantify that. So I think that's a dread type fear, but like a lot of classic phobic type fears, I've completely gone off track. Classic phobic type fears like arachnophobia or trypophobia are the like disgust reaction, the feeling of revulsion to something. And I get that, like the fear of like disease, or like, don't ever look up pictures of smallpox because it will affect you forever. And sometimes people find that fascinating, like, you know, when it was like, there was a big trend of when YouTube was first becoming a thing, and there was a big trend of like giant centipede versus mouse, where like it's disgusting, but you're also like, that is amazing, how does that function? Or like the zit popping videos that were a huge thing, and but like at the same time, I'm just like, ugh. So I feel like some of those phobias fall under arachnophobia. Things like arachnophobia fall under disgust, but things like claustrophobia, agoraphobia fall under more dread or existential. But yeah, like what do I fear? I definitely fear social anxiety. I feel screwing up. I dread the day when people in my family are gone. Like that's something that, like, knowing that I haven't appreciated things before they're gone, like that's horrifying to me. I don't want to fail. I don't want people to get, like, I don't want things to be bad because of me. I don't want to take up too much space. Like, I definitely have a constant kind of cycle of, like, fearing that I'm taking up too much room in the world and that, you know, I'm adding to the problems of the universe by being in it. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself a fearful person, but there's a lot of things that I actively dread. There's times when I hate getting in my car and driving somewhere. There's times when I hate talking to strangers. Or to people, not necessarily as there are fear aspects to how I'm emoting about things, but is that fear, is that anxiety? I don't know. Anyway, I've been talking for 11 minutes. I don't know if I've said anything useful. I definitely get scared of the dark. I definitely get, like, a fear of disease in terms of like COVID. I feel like that sort of disease type thing. I feel like I've got control measures, but like I have a disgust response to things like smallpox or that sort of like biological fluidy bits. Anyway, have I said anything? Who knows? But I have got to crack on with things, and so I can get to bed at a reasonable time. But thank you. Thank you for this amazing community. Like, honestly, I don't know how I would have survived lockdown without having some lovely people to chat to and being amazing supportive people. And yeah, on that note, I've got to get going so I can go to work tomorrow. So night. Have a wonderful week, and yeah, see you guys for the next Naked Truth. I don't know why that was it's not that scary, it's just not the Naked Truth, but see you guys later.